or ended up in Atlanta. So when I was a free agent, Atlanta called and I was like, yes, I want to come join you guys type of thing. And then after that, each year I signed 1 year deals every year after that. I never got that multiple year, 2, 3, 4 year deal, kind of break the bank deal type thing. And so that was the difficult part of my journey was knowing I was only going to be on a team for 1 year at a time, and having to start over every year it's tough because like you have to move, you have to meet all new people, um, and kind of learn everything all over again and start over and make an impression with new people. So it was a combination of just how shit played out, luck, whatever you want to call it. But like I was on the Falcons and for 1 year, and then my contract's up, so I'm a free agent. Well, I wanted to be in Atlanta again. I really like being with the Falcons, but Chicago Bears call and they say, we're going to pay you $1 million more than the Falcons are, and I'm like, sounds good. I'm going to the Bears. Like I don't know how long I'm going to play, so it's like I got to get the most while I can. If you would have told me I was going to play 11 years, then I would have stayed in Atlanta for cheaper. But when that could be my last year, it's like I gotta do that. So each year after that, it kind of went down that path of like either the coaches got fired, the GMs got fired, or someone else was offering more money, and um, just kind of kept going year to year to year. I did end up in San Francisco for 2 years, but they were both 1 year deals. So it's tough, and you get a lot of guys throughout the season, like I was saying earlier, who either were cut or practice squad and picked up halfway through the season. And I'm fortunate that I didn't have to do that because that is even more difficult, having to move mid-season and then pick it up as fast as you can. So, um, but my rookie year, I was put on practice squad, and there's you know going into it when I was drafted, and I was like, I'm gonna be the starter. Like as a rookie, I'm like I was so confident in myself. I was like, I'm gonna be a starter and right tackle. This is gonna be awesome. Going to training camp, and then end up basically getting cut and put on practice squad, and I was like, shit. Like I I don't know what the hell is going on. So that just because you get put on a practice squad isn't like a career ender by any means, because halfway or 3 quarters into the season I got elevated to the active roster, and then was playing ever since then. So practice squad is not by any means a bad thing. You can definitely use that to your advantage to get better.
Did you have a family or a girlfriend for your career?
Um, no, I was basically I met my wife my second year. My rookie year, I was actually roommates with Kirk Cousins. We were both single and just really like trying to save some money and focus on football. And um, going into my second year, I met my wife, and we were kind of just dating a little bit throughout the season, and then ended up by my fourth year getting engaged, got married my fifth year. Um, but we didn't have kids until 2020, so that was like my eighth year. So it was like more on the back half of my career that I had kids that I needed to think about and focus on. But when it was just me and my wife, it was fine because she was an ER nurse, and she was working all the time. I was working all the time, so it's not like she was just sitting at home, waiting for me to come home type of thing. We both had our own things going on, which I think helped out a lot. And with me moving around, she was able to, find work being a nurse, which was also very beneficial. But once, do any of you guys have like, are you any of you guys married or have kids or anything?
Nope.
I would, yeah, I mean, I would try to stay like that as long as you can with football going on. It's easier, but obviously, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and I'm happy with the way my life turned out, the way it turned out. But I was also glad, like my rookie year, that I was single and able to like just completely focus on football. But yeah, once you start having a family and that gets involved, it becomes more difficult and it changes your decision making, I had to then think about like how does this when I'm picking a team or like if you're saying like hey the if you're on the 49ers and the Jaguars call, it's like am I going to pick up my family from San Fran and move them to Jacksonville? Am I going to you got to start making more of those decisions and it's difficult, but when it's just you or just like you and a girlfriend or something, it's those are easy choices. So um but yeah, that's when it gets interesting. That's when we bought the house here in Richmond was when we had kids because I knew if I got cut or had to move to a new team during the season, at least they had a place to stay because I would just rent um, apartments or townhomes everywhere I played, and then once we had kids, I was like, okay, I need to get a house. So it's all those things that you got to kind of factor in.
Did you maintain the same agent throughout the duration of your career?
I did, yeah. I like I was saying, I wanted to. Personally, I wanted a high profile agent. It was Joel Siegel. He had like just this long list of guys that he had done like Michael Vick, Randy Moss, Deshaun Jackson. It was like all these huge names, and I was like, well, if I'm associated with that, then that might help me out. And we grew to have a really good friendship, and he still calls me, every couple months, even though I'm retired, and we still kind of shoot the shit, and I make fun of him, and so I've gotten lucky and a good relationship with him. I've had, I would say, some of my teammates, maybe 50% probably keep the same guy their whole time, and the other half switch at some point. Because like you'll talk to other guys and ask like what's your agent doing for you, how what does he do different than this, and if you feel like yours isn't maybe as good or something, then you'd want to switch. But yeah, I've been really lucky with that. The only person I had to change was a an accountant, but that was just because the other guy I knew and liked better anyway, but it's not like he was doing bad work or anything. um but yeah, you just talk to other guys, see how they're doing it, see what their agents are doing for them. Because at the end of the day, they work for you. You're paying them, and some guys can get kind of caught up in like, well, my agent said this, and it's like, well, yeah, but you're the guy that he's representing. Like, you're the one out there doing all the things that he's making money off of. So yeah, you want to listen to him and do all those things, but he works for you, not the other way around. So um, don't feel like intimidated or like, well, my agent told me that. Like you're in control of that. And I would definitely ask you guys, other guys, like who their agents are, what kind of what they do for them, and compare.
And when did you pick up a financial agent? Was it like before the draft or was it like during the draft?
Um, I had been talking to my financial advisor, I think it was during the my senior year, and then we probably it was I know it was before the was it before the draft? I'm trying to remember. Um, yeah, it was before the draft, but after the season, so it had been probably around now. or February, something like that, that we agreed on something. But that was a similar deal with my agent where um he was, recruiting me type of thing. And there was a couple guys, but I felt like he was the best one of the ones that were talking to me. And we had a meeting. He came, I mean, he came to Vermilion when I was living there and had lunch with me and talked to me. And at the time he lived in New Jersey, and now he lives in Colorado. But I was just like, this dude came from New Jersey to Vermilion to have lunch with me. None of the other guys are really caring that much. So I was like, uh, and kind of just went from there. But I think it was, I would say, like around now that I kind of had one locked in.
Okay.
So
But
you
that,
said,
I mean, again, that doesn't mean like you have to. Like some
Right,
guys
right.
go a full season or two without even having one. So, um, but it was nice once your checks started coming in with the, 'cause I didn't know what to do with them, but so it was nice to have that there.
Totally.
I see Joey just jumped on. Thanks for that, Joey.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Sorry, I was a little late. I just got out of math, but yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, is there anything you
Hey,
want to?
hey, Joey, maybe if you could just, yeah, the other guys kind of gave Tom a little background, kind of, where you're from and what's going on for you right now. And maybe if you could fill them in on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from Anoka, Minnesota. I played offensive line my whole life growing up. Actually, Tom, I followed you for a good amount of time just because I knew you were a Coyote and I was committed pretty early, and you played for the Vikings, who was my hometown team too. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I got to school as a tackle. Got switched to guard and center right away. Played 40 or so games between the two at guard and center. And now we're obviously all kind of in the same phase here, training and stuff, but just interviewed with a couple teams and kind of don't really know, um, what's going to happen with the rest of it. But I don't know if there's anything you want me to go deeper into there, but that's kind of the gist.
Got it. Yeah, I was basically saying like, what you guys have done, getting to this point, you just keep doing. There's nothing like special that you need to do different. And you guys are going to do a lot more interviews, I'm sure, and those can be a little intimidating or like weird. I don't know. I don't even know if they still do the same shit they did with me, but they asked some weird questions, and it was just like, what is this? Like, it was not a typical, job interview, and they're trying to like trap me, and like they're like, when's the last time you smoked weed? And it's like, what does it matter to you? Like, I don't, but thanks for asking. It was just like weird shit like that where they try to get you. I was like, very weird questioning. But yeah, just keep training hard, and the biggest thing is going to be your film. Film's number one, what they see on there, and then what you end up doing with the mini camps and stuff's huge. But as far as like interviews and stuff, when I went to the combine, you interview with every team, and I felt like at the combine, the my interview with the Redskins was the worst that I had. I totally fumbled it. I was like, just not even like thinking straight. I was so tired, and that ended up being the team that drafted me. So it's like, who knows why they even do those things, what they're looking for. But try not to like worry too much about the interviews or meetings and anything like that. It's at the end of the day, it's all about football and what you do on the field.
Yeah, if I could
Uh,
have a second for a question. I don't know if this has been asked yet, but I guess like my biggest unknown in this process is like when you like say like you sign a UDFA or get a camp invite or something, like what are the first few days of that like how much time do you have to get out there, and like what are they gonna put you through in those first few days from a practice standpoint, or like what are they trying to see?
Yeah, so I would imagine maybe it's different. You guys can correct me, but I think the first thing you guys will do is rookie mini camp. Um, they might have changed how they do it, but they'll set everything up and say it's, on a weekend or something. They'll fly you in the day before, put you in a hotel, and then like the next morning you'll go and sign in and go to meetings, and they'll kind of take you from there. But I think mine was like a Friday to Monday type deal or something like that. And basically, it's funny when you're done with it and you look back on it, how uptight everybody is at rookie minicamp. Like you'll be doing stretch lines, and guys are trying to do like perfect high knees or like perfect hip flexor stretches, and like that shit doesn't matter. It's really about the drills and what you do in the team setting. And like so many guys were so uptight and worried about the dumbest shit. And so don't get too like anxious about any of that other stuff. It's all about what you do during like those individual drills. They want to see your footwork. If you fuck up, they want to see how you respond the next play. That was that was Shanahan's big thing, was always like, you guys are gonna mess up, but it's hey, like everyone has a bad play. It's how do you respond the following play. So it's like if you have a bad rep, the next rep needs to be your best rep, and don't let it like snowball. So like don't be afraid to make a mistake. And just know like the next play is the most important play. Um, and they just want to see how you move too. Especially for O line, it's all about how they want to see how you move. And get their eyes on you instead of just watching the film. My O line coaches would just kind of hit the on the clicker, just rewind play, rewind play over and over, like your first two steps or like how your balance is or anything like that. Like you don't have to master like the playbook your rookie mini camp weekend. It's you just be an athlete and let them see that. And just don't be like uptight, like just play ball. And but also be in our you know you want to give a shit, you want them to know you care, and you want to hustle around and do all those things, but remember that you're there to play football, and that's all it's about.
Anybody else? Carter, any comments?
I'm all good. That was good.
um yeah, I mean, also, I mean, I I tend to ramble a lot. I do that, and if you talk to me more, you'll see that. But like your guys' time is important. Your training and all that. Right now, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm retired. I got plenty of time. So, you guys reach out to me whenever you want, and I'll be happy to talk football with any of you guys. Because other than that, it's me talking to my kids. Just got done watching Kung Fu Panda. Um, so, anything you guys need from me, please don't hesitate, because I want to help you guys out. I love USD. I love what you guys did this season. And I want to help out any way I can. I want to see you guys succeed. And if you have any like anxieties or just like what do I expect here type of thing, like you can text me. Like it's all good. Like I want to help you guys out. And yeah, just like just please don't hesitate to reach out.
I guess the last question that I have that just came to mind was, you obviously had a very long career. Did you ever like fall out of love with football or like have doubts about it? like through, especially with changing teams and the constant moves and stuff like that? Or were you the whole time like 100% dedicated still, no matter what? I love football.
That's a great question. I did kind of um, come in and out of love with it. When I first was going, and I was a rookie, I was all about it. I loved it. Um, and then my third year, my it was my third year, my coaches got fired, and basically everything changed. But I was still under contract with the team, and it felt like I had been making progress with those coaches and that staff and everything. And once that switched, I didn't like the new coaches. It was just a completely different style. How they coached, what they were coaching, the scheme. It was just all different, and I hated it. And I knew going into my fourth year, my contract year, I was like, it was terrible because that was when I knew I had to play my best, and I wasn't really getting any opportunities based on the new system. And I was like, man, this sucks. So like, I hated my fourth year. But then when I went to Atlanta, it was like I was back in that system. I was back with coaches I knew. And it was like the coolest shit ever. Like I was like, this is awesome. I love football. And then you kept going through that. After that, I went to the Bears and we had a terrible season. And I moved from that was the first time I had to go from tackle to guard because I signed there as a tackle, but they had so many injuries at guard that they were like, you need to play guard. And I hated it. I was like, I hate playing guard. I'm not good at it. Um, but ended up sticking with it. And when I went to the Vikings, I was primarily a guard and ended up starting a lot of games that year at guard. And I loved it again. I was starting, I was playing. I was like, I'm a guard now. Like, this is fun. And it kind of went up and down. And then um, truly was having probably the best time of my career was like was like the peak of it. And I'd been, going like this my whole career as far as like, do I like it? Do I love it? And because I had signed with the 49ers for my ninth season, and it was that was the COVID year. And so we didn't have like a normal training camp or mini camp or anything like that. So I didn't get any time with the team really. And I'd signed my best contract with them that year. And it was in training camp that they're like, yeah, you need to go see, the general manager. And I was like, oh shit. And he's like, we don't think that you're playing as well as we're compensating you, so we're gonna cut your salary. And I was like, okay, like there's literally nothing you can do. You can why I mean you can say no, but then they just cut you, or you can say yes and take less and play. And so that season I was like, I think I'm done. I was like, I don't like the business part of it really had gotten to me. And I thought about quitting at that point, and but I ended up sticking with it. I was like, no, I'm just gonna keep going, see what happens. And then that following year was like the most fun I've ever had playing football because I had kind of like let go of all that bullshit and was just playing the game like I was a kid again, and ended up having like the best season of my career, my 10th year. And so it goes in and out. And um, but I've always one of what's his name, Wes Phillips. He's the offensive coordinator for the Vikings now. He was a tight end coach with the Redskins my third and fourth year, and he was like, he gave me some really good advice. He said like, don't ever quit, like don't ever leave the game on your own. He's like, make them make you leave. He's like, even if you hate it, even if you're having a bad time, every year that you can stack, you will thank yourself down the road. He's like, make them tell you you can't play anymore. Don't be the one that walks away on like how you are gonna do now. And that just like really stuck with me. I was like, I'm gonna make them tell me I'm not playing anymore. I'm not gonna be the one that says I'm done. Like you're gonna have to basically lock me out of the building. And during those tough years, that's kind of just how I stuck with it. I was like, it'll be worth it in the long run. And because you know, every year you play, it adds to your benefits, it adds to your pension, and you know, you might not care or think about it much where you're at now, but like now that I'm, you know, I'm 35 now, and I know when I'm in my 50s and 60s that I'll have, you know, retirement taken care of. So, um, you got to also, you know, be thinking about your future. And even if it's tough or shitty or you don't really like it anymore, it's like just keep going. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to cut you. It's like, well, you were going to quit anyway, so make them cut you. You know, make them be the ones that kind of end it. Get the most out of it that you can.
Anybody
I,
else?
yeah, I got one question. So you went through the free agent process a few times. Um, I'm curious about like when you're in that situation, you have a couple teams, I'm sure were like, interested in you, potentially offering you contracts and stuff. What was the value process there? Like, how did you value certain things? Were you looking at the roster? Like, was it based on, how much they're willing to pay you, how much they want you kind of thing? Like, what was the process for deciding that?
Yeah, it's kind of different each each season. Your priorities kind of shift a little bit. When I was younger, all that I cared about was where was the most money going to be. So at that time, you know, say I didn't have a 4 year deal right away and I was only on like a one or two type of thing. If if one team was going to offer me more than the other, to me, I didn't care what the situation was. I was like, I'm going where the most money is because I could be done this season. You know, I can only play maybe 1 or 2 years anyway. So none of those things really mattered to me. But as you get older and go through it, then you start thinking about who are the coaches, what's their roster look like, what, how's the organization, you know, those things start to matter a little bit more. When I went, basically after going from Atlanta to Chicago, because I went to Chicago because it was a ton more money. After that point, it was more about the fit, the coaching. How am I going to make, you know, the best opportunity for me? And so once I was done with Chicago, I was like, I want to go where either I know the coaches or I know the system. Um, and that's kind of how I dictated it. And then once I got even farther in my career, in the back half, you know, later years, it was all about organization, like who's taking care of their players the best. Um, and I knew like San Fran, all those guys from Washington when I was a rookie, and they had a really good organization and took care of players. So that's what mattered to me because I was in my, you know, ninth, 10th year, getting older, had a family, and those things started to matter. So it's kind of a progression of those things. But I was gonna say too, I forgot, you guys that end up becoming, you know, undrafted free agents, you get to obviously pick where you want to go. And so if you have a bunch of options, I would say as an undrafted free agent, you would want to go wherever gives you the best opportunity to make the team. So, you know, say if you're, um, I'll use O line for example, because I played O line. Like, if I'm picking between teams, I'm going to go whoever has either the worst O line or the, you know, maybe injuries at O line. I wouldn't go somewhere that's already loaded and stacked at O line because it's not going to give me the best opportunity to make the team, even if it's a better team. You know, if it's say like the Chiefs or something, you're like, oh, I could, you know, maybe play in a Super Bowl, but you want to make the team first and then go from there. So even if it's like a worse, you know, team record wise or whatever, really look at the roster and where you think you know, you might have the best shot to make it.
Awesome. Anybody else got a question or? Well, hey, Tom, thanks. This is great. And as Tom mentioned, I'll make sure all of you guys have his email and then his cell number. And as he shared, you know, he's happy to talk to you about anything along the way. The next few months are going to be really interesting for you. Certainly, Tom's here. You know, the Brotherhood is backing you guys up too. Whatever we can do, you know, please reach out. We're happy to try to help or muster up our crew to help get you what you need. But no, this is great. Tom, thanks again. And guys, thanks for taking your time. I know you got a day off today, but this is great. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both for setting this up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, I know you guys are busy, so go enjoy your time off, man. You don't get much of it these days.
Awesome, guys. Take care.
Yeah, you
Thanks
as well.
again,
You too.
Tom.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. See you.
See you guys.
Take care.